Some people rock and some people roll. Some will make you giggle right down to your soul. So talk to the world and introduce them to you. And look at me now, I'm on Barbara and you. You gotta take a step inside the shoes of another. Get to know your neighbor, get to know one another. So talk to the world and introduce them to you. And look at me now, I'm on Barbara and you.
And I'm so glad you're joining me on Barbara and You. I have so much fun doing this show. Can you tell? I meet the nicest people. And before I introduce you to the one I'm going to be talking with in a few minutes, let me tell you who's going to join me at 7:30, and that will be Scott Curlin. And he's with LTV, which are the lemons are similar to us in FATV. But my first guest is another Scott with an easy name, Scott Allen. And it's so nice to see you again.
It is a pleasure. It's been years. And I love the opening because I see all my old friends on there.
Well, we keep nagging Will Darkangelo we want to update it.
I know, I saw him too. Yeah, that's great.
But we love the music, but we really do need to update it. But Will's very busy, and I can't get him to do it. But thank you for reminding me of that. But I apologize to you because, first of all, your name it's not, I won't say it's a common name, but it didn't click with me. That I've interviewed you a couple of times before, way back.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're both aging very well. Anyway,
true.
And in all these, in May it'll be 49 years since I started this show. And in all these years, I don't believe, and my memory fails me sometimes, but I don't believe I've ever interviewed a psychic. And what's the M? What's the M
it's
word?
Medium.
Medium. Is that the way I say it should be said?
Yeah, or medium. Yeah, technically I'm a large, but you can call me a medium.
You're a what?
A large, but I want to be a medium. I'm working on medium. I haven't been a medium in years.
Oh, I love having a sense of humor. Laughter is so good for the soul.
I'm telling you.
But when I read some of the background about you, and people go through different sorts of careers.
Yeah.
Now, the one that stood out to me was you were a funeral director.
I was. I started working in the funeral home when I was 16 years old. And obviously, I was mowing lawns at that point and washing cars, but I worked until I was just too burnt out to do it anymore. And I left, and that's when all of this started to happen.
All of this.
I never saw it coming.
Let's not leave the funeral home yet, though.
Yeah.
Was that locally?
Gardner.
In Gardner? Okay.
Yeah.
Because the fellow that used to own Brennan's, the one in Fitchburg, he had always that's what he always wanted to do. And his high school teachers and junior high teachers said he used to draw pictures of hearses because we don't think about that's a very difficult job. And we don't think about people
wanting to do that.
And planning that far ahead. And of course, the canoe owners is a family business.
Yeah.
But in your case, as a youngster, you just wanted to make some extra money?
No, I knew when I was 13, 14 that that's what I was going to do. I knew it. You couldn't have steered me. People tried to steer me in a different direction, and I said, no, this is it. This is it.
I do admire funeral directors because it's a very difficult job.
Yeah.
You have to be a certain type personality to do it, and that's interesting that you wanted it. You just felt like it was something you wanted to do.
Yeah, and I always say, for me, it was all about the people, the live people. It was the families. It was guiding them through. You're a little bit like a wedding planner, only you do it in like 2 or 3 days. But, over time, it was the confinement. My family didn't live near me. My mom was sick. I was on call all the time. You don't get to just pick up and go, and coverage was difficult to come by. It was just it wasn't home. It wasn't my home. Although I lived in Gardner for quite a while.
I was going to ask where you were raised.
Yeah, I was raised in Tewksbury, which is where I am now. Once I got out, I moved back because I wanted to be closer to my folks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so all right, now I'll let you tell us about the transition from there to here. Well,
it started, there was some overlap, I'm not going to lie. And I remember being in the funeral home and feeling like there was someone next to me. And that's something you can't really put into words. You can't describe it. but I would get scents, like scents of perfume, scents of cologne, that kind of thing, just randomly out of nowhere in the building. I could hear them walking around. And that had never happened to me before. And I built a brand new building from the ground up. So there was, that should not have been happening. So when I left, I had friends sort of, I call them leftovers, that had been there for years. And one of them said to me, hey, I'm going to this place in Revere. It used to be a church rectory. Now it's an historical museum. And she said, they say it's haunted, so I'm going to go and check it out. Would you like to come? And I thought, now you have to understand, I'm going to be 59. She's probably going to be 69. She's quite a bit older than me. And she said,
wait a minute. You made this transition later in life then.
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking we went back. Okay.
No,
Okay.
it was starting when I was there. But I thought, you're going ghost hunting? And I'm like, you don't do that as a funeral director. You join the Lions Club. You don't go ghost hunting. But I thought, you know what? She's older and a little bit heavy. If I can run out of the building faster than she can, then we're all set. So as long as she's
And she wasn't hitting on you.
Yeah, right. But we went, and
where was that, you said?
That was in Revere.
Okay.
And we sat there, and it was like watching paint dry. There was nothing happening at all. And I had a phone or a recorder or something, and do you know anybody here? It's like nothing, right? I got home that night, and I turned it on and listened to my recording, and I could hear about 10 of them calling my name. Scott, 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 Scott. I thought, what? So I called her and I said, has this ever happened to you? And she said, no, never. She said, I've had them say my name once. I've never heard that. That's not a good thing. So after that, I started to hear things. We'd hear voices through the radio. Scott, this is David. I had a friend that worked in a hair salon, and this guy walks into her hair salon. It's a Friday night, asks her for me. And she says, he's not here. Like, I'll take a message for you. He said, okay, tell him David stopped by. Now, David, I don't know a David, never called. But after that, it was always David. David would come through. I do a weekly podcast, and I was doing it back then. And sometimes I go back and listen, and I can hear them calling my name. And I thought, I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind. So I finally called someone who was a medium, and I said, I think I got this ghost after me. I don't know if I picked something up. I don't know. And she says, no, you're a medium. Keep in mind, this is like after a couple of years of feeling like you're losing yourself, She put me in touch with another woman who lives on Cape Cod, and she helped me control it, to turn it, not necessarily turn it off, but turn it off when I don't want it. And then it all kind of stopped. And she kept saying, this is what you are. Go practice. Go bring friends in, or friends of friends. Tell them the first thing that comes to your mind. And I did. And they understood, and I didn't know how they understood. I mean, this is like at least 5 years of unfolding to kind of come to terms with it. And then when I did, it was just boom, boom, boom. It was fast.
But I can empathize with you thinking, am I losing my mind? Or,
Seriously.
Why have I been chosen to hear
Well, let me tell you,
things?
there's a chapter in my book about how I thought I had schizophrenia.
Let me hold up
threatening.
is
Here,
this the
I'll give you
same?
another one there. Yeah,
Okay.
same thing.
Maybe we'll get a better view of it. You wrote this book recently?
I did. It took me 4 years to write it, and it just got published in January. But it really is the story. It's the story growing up. My grandparents owned a flower business, and that's when this started. And going through the funeral business and my time in Gardner. And you've heard of the S.K. Pierce Mansion in Gardner?
Oh, yes. I can picture it when you said it. I didn't think of the name, but I know exactly what building you're talking about.
I used to live near it, and it was this decrepit
You used to live
place.
there?
No, near it, down the street.
Oh.
And I'd go by it every day, and it looked like it should have been torn down and condemned. And I went there because someone had bought it and redid the whole thing. And I was sitting in a group. We were in a room like this. There was about 12 or 13 of us. And I could, somebody sprayed their perfume, like, and I thought, why would you do that in a room like this that's small with all these people? And I said to my friend next to me, the same woman that I had taken before, and I said, I've got to go get some fresh air. She says, what's the matter? I said, I can't breathe. I don't know who sprayed that perfume. She said, oh, that's funny. I don't smell anything. How can you not smell anything? Somebody heard me talking. She said, oh, that's Ellen Pierce. She used to live in this house, and she's been known to give her scent off to people who can detect it.
Oh, my
It
goodness.
was all those kinds of moments. That stuff, thank God, does not happen anymore.
Oh.
I started recording everything. Every time I heard a name, I walked around with a recorder because I thought if I can hear it and you can hear it on the recording, I'm not crazy, right?
Okay. Now, did those experiences prompted you to write the book? And you said it took a while, and
Yeah.
that happens. That's why I write articles, short articles. But tell me about the title, In the Presence of Light. Why did you choose that title?
It's really about the awakening. It's about finding where you're really supposed to be. And the tagline is a funeral director's journey from mourning to mediumship, MOURNING. And it really is that journey through the funeral business into the mediumship and how it all sort of unfolded the way it was supposed to. It didn't start out as a book. It started out as notes. People were telling me, you've got to write this stuff down because there's crazy stuff happening to you and you'll never remember everything. And then I looked back and I had this, notebook of just notes and notes and notes, and I started to make sense of them and put them together. Once I said, okay, all right, fine, I'll do it. I trust it.
In other words, you're going to stop fighting it.
I'm going to stop fighting it. Well, I didn't even believe it for the longest time. I'm kind of a skeptic, which is sort of ironic, but I didn't. And so once I said, okay, everything started being handed to me. It was unbelievable. I mean, it was truly unbelievable. I met this actress sort of fortuitously. She's been on the Hallmark Channel and a bunch of other stuff. She does a weekly show, and she met me and asked if I'd come on the show and read her on the air, which I did. And then after that, I'm getting calls from people in Canada and England and Australia, and I thought, my God, I'm not even doing this yet.
It sounds like there's a fairly large population who believe and practice this.
There is.
Let's backtrack a little more, again, if you don't mind. You said it kind of shocked you in the beginning, and it took you a while to.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, I interviewed you at least twice before.
Right.
What were we talking about then?
Probably Stratton Players or Theater at the Mountain.
Okay, so are you still acting?
Not anymore.
No?
I don't have time. I've got a 12-year-old, or almost 12-year-old, and I'm running all over the place. I'm busy. I'm booked in Colorado. I'm booked in.
For appearances about.
Yeah.
Now, is there a difference between a psychic and a?
Yes.
Explain that to me.
Yeah. So everybody has a little bit of psychic something. You just realize the phone's going to ring and it rings, or you know who it is before you pick up the phone. That's psychic. Some are a little more tuned in than others, but not all psychics are mediums. All mediums are psychic. Not all psychics are mediums. Mediums connect with people on the other side. That's why I was able to kind of know that there were people around me and get messages. Somehow, they give me messages clairvoyantly. I see, claircognizantly. I know. I feel it clairsentiently. Sometimes I even hear it. I'll hear names, and it's when I open myself up to do it. And that's something that a psychic doesn't get. That's mediums get that.
But you must have gotten educated along the process.
I did. Once I said, okay, I've got to figure this out, I needed to learn how to control it. And then I went and took classes on how to refine it, because it's very rough. It's just, you're getting whatever you're getting.
Well, and I wouldn't imagine that everyone's alike.
No.
There must be different varieties, different
There is. Everybody gets
signs.
something differently, I do a lot of shows with a woman from New Hampshire. She and I are totally different. The style is different. How she gets her messages are different. But sometimes we're still connecting with the same spirits. It's amazing. It still amazes me. I don't understand how it works.
Have you had a appearance from anyone in your past who has passed away?
That's really interesting. I don't read myself. And if I know someone too well, it's very difficult to read them, because the way I get my information, it's hard to discern between what I know and what they're giving me.
Oh, I see.
Because they'll put it right in your head, like a memory that's not yours. So if I already know that, if I already know something, like my mom, how do I know? How do I get the validation for that? But if I sit with you or someone else I don't know and I start getting all this information, well, where does that come from? Where are the names coming from? You know, how did I know you just took a tour to Italy through a wine? I mean, I don't know.
I didn't,
no,
folks.
No. But I mean, you know, that was recent. That happened to me recently. You know,
Really?
yeah, where's it come from? Yeah, I was in Naples a couple of weeks ago working and had a woman, and we were getting all this stuff. I said, oh my God, he's talking about the tour. You took the wine vineyard. She said, oh my God, yeah. She said, anybody else with him? And I heard George. I said, yeah, George is with him. She said, that's my father. I said, oh my God, I have no idea how this stuff happens. I don't know it. And why me? I don't know.
I get to Naples, Florida, but I have
Let me tell you, it was cold. I was running around Florida with a winter coat.
Oh.
Of course, this week it's 80, so there you go.
Do you have, well, I'm thinking of so many different questions. First of all, has your son reacted to your being a medium?
He's incredibly sensitive himself. I had taken him a couple of years ago. We'd gone to the USS Salem just to tour the ship. You know, it's like a museum. And he was picking up things were touching his leg. And Dad, I don't want to go down here. This is where I can't breathe. When we go down this hallway, I feel like I can't breathe. I ended up being the hospital ward where they were doing anesthesia and all this other stuff. So he's incredibly sensitive. And it seems like the last couple of years, he's just going to shut it right off.
But you haven't influenced him to be that way. He just comes out with things that surprise you.
You know, they say synchronicities. Like, I think he's with me for a reason, honestly. But now he's too cool for school, so there's no way. He's just not, you know.
Well, before we go on the air, you mentioned your son and how he was. Do you want to tell this story about how he
came to be?
I love this.
It was the funniest thing. I was driving one day from Boston to come back home. And I get a call from a friend of mine that lives in Texas, and I've known her for years. And she said to me, hey, my brother and his wife, who divorced, conceived a child at some point in the process. And they had 2 other sets of adoptive parents, and they all backed out because they had relationship issues. I said, my God. She says, would you be interested? I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, when is he, I'm alone. When is this baby due? And they said, 3 weeks. And I thought, how do I do this in 3 weeks? My father, who's an engineer, thought I was getting scammed. I mean, it was the craziest thing. My mother and I are running around getting cribs, and it was nuts.
I know we didn't intend to talk about that, but it's a beautiful story. So you actually adopted this baby.
I did, at birth. I was there with him when he came in the world. Oh,
and fortunately, your mom was able to help you.
Thank God for my parents, because they were, you know, just great. When you know, he's still, my mom passed a couple of years ago, but my dad is still there, and he goes to my dad's house 3 or 4 days a week and goes down the street and plays with his friends. So thank God for that.
Okay, twice you just used thank God. How does God, a lot of things that happen, I think it's because God made it happen.
Yeah.
How do you justify, or how would you explain the difference or the similarity between God's will and being a medium?
I feel like being a medium is no different than having blue eyes. I can't control it. I can kind of turn it off and turn it on, but it is what it is.
And is that common among the people you've met who are mediums?
Yes, you can't make yourself a medium. And many of them, I know a lot of the religions say, oh no, you can't do that. But I got to tell you, they are some of the most God-centered people I've ever met. A lot of them truly, truly are. And you are given this. I don't think that anything that is evil would allow so much healing to take place. And I've witnessed some profound healing moments in doing this. I don't know why I get it. I didn't ask for it. It just kind of showed up. And so where else is it coming from? It has to come from the Creator. I look back, and it was there all along. Now, I can look back and see the synchronicities, you know.
Really?
Yeah. I just didn't recognize it.
And what a life change.
Truly a life change.
A total about-face from when you were helping at a funeral home.
But you know what? It's the same people. I helped them say goodbye to their mother, their father, and now I can reunite them after the fact. But it's the same people.
How do you reunite them?
By bridging that gap between this world and the next and bringing those messages through and sharing those messages. Sometimes they'll come through and say happy birthday to whomever, to her or him or the granddaughter or grandson or whatever it is. Say happy birthday. Wish them a happy anniversary.
You said it took you a while to get it,
Yeah.
to maybe admit to yourself, this is really happening to me.
Yeah, it's true.
How did you try to shut it out?
Well, at first, I can't even say I did that because I didn't even believe it was something. You know, like it's just a coincidence. How can this be anything other than a coincidence? Oh, maybe my funeral home is haunted. Well, that house in Gardner is haunted. Or, you know, you can come up with a million excuses. But when when it doesn't stop and you finally sit down with people and you say, okay, what's here? And you're getting people's names and the grandmother was born on Easter. And I mean, how are you going to get that? You know, people you don't know. So it's coming from someplace. They see some kind of connection.
Yeah. Tell me the essence of this book, and it is available.
It is. It's available everywhere. And actually, if they want to learn more about the book or me or whatever, they can go on my website.
Yeah, Robin's going to put information on the screen for you.
But the book is really that story from the funeral home. Actually, it starts out when I was a young boy and goes right through and into the life as a funeral director, into the little bit of a ghost story. There was that little period where it felt like a ghost story, to now, where I'm doing private sessions. I'm on the TV show Dark Echoes, which is on Amazon. I travel all over the place. I'm in Colorado and Naples. And
do you find that you're happier than you ever were?
absolutely, 100%. I thought I'd die in the funeral home. Literally, I did. I thought when I got in, I'm like, that's it. I'm never
And
leaving.
you didn't really dislike the work.
Never disliked it. Had I been near my folks, I don't think I ever would have left. But I was so miserable, I would have left for anything at that point. I just needed to get away.
Because?
Because I couldn't take care of my parents. My mom wasn't well. My friends were somewhere else. My family was somewhere else. And I did have friends around here that I met through theater and that kind of thing. But it wasn't the same, really. It wasn't the same. It never felt like home to me.
Where do you live now?
I'm in Tewksbury. Yeah.
Kind of back to Tewksbury.
I went back because I needed to be close to my family, and I'm still there.
Okay. And you don't miss the acting?
I miss the performances. But see, that's the other thing. Everything's a learning, right? I used to be so quiet, and I got prodded to go to an audition for New Players Theater Guild, actually, back in 1993. And I kind of got the bug, and I stayed with it. But I never would have stood on a stage in front of anybody had it not been for those experiences. And now I stand on the stage. It's the performance without the rehearsals. It's the rehearsals I don't have time for anymore. But I can stand up and do, a performance.
And when you do that, do you entertain questions from the audience?
Yeah, so typically, if anybody has seen John Edward on TV or James Van Praagh, you'll have a group of people sitting in the audience, and I will just get messages from people. I'll start bringing them through. I think I'm over here. I have a grandmother coming through. She died of whatever, and they start, and you'll get people raising their hands saying, "Yeah, that's my grandmother." I mean, it's ironic. I'm going to be in Fitchburg next week. Yeah.
Okay. So, when is that?
It's next Thursday night. I'm in Fitchburg.
Okay.
Salem Sisters, which is down the street, right around the corner from here.
Okay,
Yeah.
There's a lot happening in Fitchburg.
There's a lot happening in Fitchburg. Yeah. And actually, I was at New Players over the fall. I did a show there in the fall. But it was, if people want to find out about that, they can go on my website. Everything's right there. And I think it'd be, it's such a great time to have people gather. But that's what it is. They just gather in the audience and, yeah.
What are some of the strangest questions you've had put to you when you're giving a speech?
I don't get questions so much during the readings because those are readings.
The readings meaning
I'm getting messages and I'm delivering them. Right, that's during the actual quote unquote show part of it. Usually, I'll open up for questions at the end, and a lot of it is, what do you see? How did this start? It's that kind of thing. It's nothing really terribly crazy, but people do have questions, and I don't get a lot of skepticism. People will bring their skeptic husbands, and they're always the ones that get the readings. They're always the ones that get the messages.
Because I was going to ask you that,
Yeah.
if there were people that didn't agree with you at all, I'd say,
Yeah, but they're not going to come to one of my performances. They're not going to
Okay,
book
the
a
ones
session
that-
with me.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm not here to fix anybody's mind. You know what I mean? I'm not going to change it. So if they don't, that's okay. You know, there's lots of reasons why people may or may not believe. It's not my job. I just do what I do. There's enough people out there that are looking for something that it just happens. I don't feel like I can stop. Like I can't not do it. When I stop, they're right there. Get going. Keep moving.
it sounds like it from the way you've explained thus far.
It was.
Okay, so you look back at your history, at different careers, change
Yeah,
of careers, how you were brought up, and things like that. What do you see? What do you see for 10 years from now?
I think, honestly, so I'll be pretty close. I mean, if I'm not retired, I'll be close to it. But I don't see myself retiring, sitting somewhere on a deck,
Yeah, I can imagine
playing shuffleboard.
if
I don't see that happening.
If that's what you do, I can't imagine that it'd be like you had to flip a switch and turn something off.
Yeah, well, and I don't think I will do that. I know how to control it now.
Oh,
That's
you
the
do.
only. That's the difference. Is I go about my day and they don't bother me anymore. But if I get to that point, I think I'll probably just still travel, still do that. I'm taking a cruise out of Miami. I'm doing a metaphysical cruise that I'm hosting. I got asked to host it, but
Okay, so you've actually ended up kind of turning it into a business.
it is. That's what I do. It's all I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
It's all I do. I go all over the place. And so I'll probably still do that because I like to travel until I can't do it anymore. I'll do some private sessions, but I'll probably do less. Those are a little more confining. But, I can do those from home. We do them virtually.
It's a whole different feeling when you're your own boss, isn't it?
It is. I never felt that way in the funeral home, though. I always felt trapped. Now I don't feel trapped anymore. I can just pack up and go, which is great.
Have you ever had a situation where you were compelled to tell something to someone that you knew would be hurtful?
Yeah, so yes, I have. And I'll tell you this. I always kind of live by the motto, do no harm, but you have to deliver the message. It's how you deliver it that's important. And a lot of times they already know, and they're looking for confirmation.
Oh.
And so, yeah, sometimes that's all it is just confirmation.
Would you say that you've always been a compassionate person?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm picking that up from you.
Maybe you're psychic too. I don't know.
I'm sorry?
Maybe you're psychic too.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. I think so. I think I've always been an empath, an empath, very caring. It's just kind of my nature, really. I don't think I have ever been anything other than that. So that's part of it. That's probably why I got into the funeral business.
Now, I think you said it took quite a while to write the book.
Yeah.
And is there another one coming?
It's funny. I've got two on the burner that I'm considering. And I've started putting thoughts together for one. One is called Homecoming, and that's what is it like once you cross. And that's a channeled book. Because I've never done that. So you get the information. The other one is all about my son, Finding Nicholas, and it's all about the story of how that happened. It has nothing to do with this at all.
That is a great, great story. And
Yeah.
I told you, I feel like God made that happen.
Oh, seriously.
But we have 2 minutes, a minute and a half left. What would you like our viewers to know that I haven't given you a chance to say?
You know what? There's so much to learn. I don't know how you could figure it all out in one session. But I'll tell you, if you want to know anything, you can always reach out to me. Go to my website. I think she put it on the screen, you said.
There, she's got it up
it's
there right now.
Yeah. Put it on the screen. Book a session with me if you like. Come to one of my shows. I'll be in Fitchburg. I'm in Billerica. There's a bunch of shows that are local. Watch me on Dark Echoes. That's on Amazon when that comes out. And, just reach out and send me an email.
Great. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's great to see you again, and
Truly.
we'll keep in touch.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Oh, and don't go away out there because we're going to take a short break, and I'll be back with my next guest.